My motives are unknown, but my objective is clear. I need to talk to the man in charge of this amusement park, and I'll plow through as many guests as I need to, trespass to my heart's content, and dig through as many garbage cans as I can find. I'll also make sure to get all 15 Steam achievements, including finding hidden items and upgrades, taking on some extra bosses, some 90s trivia, and beating 100% of the game with only 10 medkits. Hello and howdy, I'm Lil Saucy Boy, but you can call me Saucy. And this is Crow Country. It's 1990. I'm Mara Forrest, and apparently I'm a secret agent. And like any good horror game, I have no idea what's going on. There's wonky controls, and for some reason, they gave me a pistol. Oh, that's gonna take some getting used to. I enter the amusement park, but no one's manning the ticket booth, so I get a free ride, turn off a faucet, save the day already, and try to call my friends, but I have none. I walk my way further into the abandoned amusement park, where I find my way into Fairy Tale Town. And eventually we stumble across our friend Arthur, who is a photographer, but his photography skills could use some work. They remind me more of FNAF than they do any actual guests we find later on. He hurt himself getting into the park, so I gave him a medkit and walked him back to his car, if he had one. Instead, he spent the rest of the game in my car. But talking to him did give me my first achievement. Now, you may be wondering where this is all taking place. Lucky for you, I did my research. It takes place near Atlanta, Georgia. And I know it seems random at first, but it makes sense. See, DeKalb County is near Atlanta, Georgia, where the story takes place. You know what else has a DeKalb County? Illinois. You know what else makes sense? It's a horror game and it has ties to hell. But that's not all. DeKalb, Illinois also has a crow for a mascot. So when you put all this together... Oh wait, never mind. Some guy that owns this place is named Crow. Anyways, back into the park we go. First problem we run into, what are swans doing in Crow Country? This is no place for them. To help them with their turf war, I need to find an egg, or an egg-shaped item, maybe a rock, gem, something of that nature. It turns out you can use anything as long as it's about the right size and shape. Now, back to our regularly scheduled meandering. I stumble across a code, a place to put a code, but there's no zero. And now would be a good time to mention I don't play a lot of survival horror. Aw, nah, I'm not like, or horror in general. So it took a while to get used to the controls. Alright, we got some learning to do. It's 1990. I'm Mara Forrest, and apparently I'm a secret agent. So after retracing my steps and checking back on Arthur, yep, still useless. You know, I wish he would have just rolled over. Not like died, but he was sitting on a code I needed. After inputting the code, I find I am missing another important part of the puzzle. I don't know how to talk to women. So like any introverted, maladjusted man, I'd rather face death than learn how to talk to a woman. After disposing the guests, I find myself looking into a box of what Marvin Trumbull likes to call samples of geological interest, or as most people call it, gold ore. Continuing to the end of the hallway, I find a safe room. And at this safe room, would you believe it, they tell me how to talk to women. So, I try out my newfound persuasion skills on the fairy of the forest. And she immediately runs and hides. But behind her was a fairy pond, with a little bit of a puzzle, with a weird machine behind this curtain here, and a valve I just crank over and over again, till eventually I pull the lever, and out pops a bronze key. And behind this room, we find a cybernetic crow, whose construction was shelved due to the loss of the creator's daughter. But, on the upside, we do find our first secret, and that is one of 15. However, it is completely useless for the time being. So I go to use my bronze key, and looks like some guests are starting to appear, because I feel like I would remember that guy. Anyways, I use my bronze key and make my way into the haunted hilltop, with all about half a second to spare. As I wander through Haunted Hilltop, past Witchwood, I find our new friend Julie, who, her patience for this door is unmatched, but her patience for us, non-existent. She'll get in eventually. In the meantime, I look for an alternate route where I find my way into a crypt with a giant clock with a shotgun pointed at me. This isn't terrifying at all. With my dashing good looks and the A button, I turn a few heads and solve the puzzle that opens up the door out of here. Well, sort of. There's this optional, not really optional, mini-boss I have to kill first. Also, I found a grenade, so that helped. And with the best aim we'll see this whole video, I took down the first of 4 mini-bosses. And I went to claim my prize of a shotgun, but it didn't really work out. Also, who keeps gasoline in a crypt? Ah, it's for the dumpster fire. Speaking of dumpster fires, I let our friend Julie in, who turns out to be very sassy, but also somebody's lawyer. Poor soul. And with lawyers comes a whole lot of legal documents, which helps shine a little bit of light on what's happening around here. Her case is to defend Elaine Marshall, who was attacked when she got separated from her parents at this very amusement park. She claimed it was by a man in a cage, which, I mean, just preposterous here. I mean, come on, this place is in top-notch condition. However, after this attack, she never fully recovered. She's been sick ever since. But I don't have time to sit around and read. I've got puzzles to solve. I find a crank candle in the safe. Weird place to put it, but okay. Pardon me, coming through. I knock on this door a few too many times until they feel bad and let me in. But upon entering, I get the scariest thing to happen so far. A phone call with no caller ID. Who is calling at this hour? You know, I still don't know. After that rude interruption, I go about exploring the haunted manor, read some books. Ambulance. Pulling up the pin by G-Nade. I wonder. Oh, is this gonna throw a grenade at me? You know, I was pretty sure I was just about to explode, but you know, that deserved. Solve some puzzles, play some tunes, and head on through into the back rooms. Is what I would say, but first we have to get ourselves our egg-shaped object. Oh, that looks terrifying. Hey, we can use that as an egg. Not long after entering the back rooms, we find our next character. Douglas Pike, the creator of the cyborg crow we found earlier, and father of Ophelia Pike. He was a longtime friend of Edward Crowe and the builder of this amusement park. Oh my god. Well, at least the normal operations of it. We let him nap a little bit longer as we open up a shortcut to the rest of the map, and then uncover a little bit more of what's happening here. Apparently guests are spawning in from a so-called pool room. Normally guests come from the front entrance, so it's a little bit off. We travel further into the back rooms and find our next friend, Natalie Crowe, the daughter of Edward Crowe, the owner of this place. She was attacked by one of the guests, so we offer her an antidote to help her feel better. She becomes a little bit more self, so we can try to figure out what's going on. We are here looking for her father, Edward Crowe. Due to the missing persons report Natalie herself filed. She was surprised they sent us, and she was expecting a Detective Harrison, but he had car issues this morning, so he couldn't make it. Now, after finishing up with my least favorite part about being a detective, I got to finally figure out what having this egg-shaped object did. Back in Swan Country, I was able to move this swan around this very challenging obstacle course. And we got this cool chain reaction. Oh my god. With our new little trinket, we head into this tiny little house that has a pit to what I can only presume is the center of the world. We immediately put the chain to use, almost died to this random guest. But I don't. Fill this hole with an unknown substance. and use this conveniently placed flamethrower to release the mask. With our Halloween costume now in hand, we make our way out and run into none other than Detective Harrison. We don't recognize him and he doesn't recognize us. Something tells me we might not actually be a secret agent. But he did tell us he's looking for Natalie Crow, which we can help with. So we sent him on his way, pink bike and all. Next order of business is figuring out how this crow works. I press a button and it opens up some controls. Oh, hold up. I think I'm getting a call. Oh, this guy again. Ugh. Anyways, back to the crow. It looks like there's some sort of DJ controls, and it also appears he's dead inside, which is very relatable. But once I turn him around and check out his back, it looks like we need a battery. If only it were that easy. It'll be a while before we find him his life's purpose again. But in the meantime, I have a crank that'll open up this passageway to the Ocean Kingdom. And like any good water-themed amusement park, it has a submarine attraction with a shooting range that's broken and a save point in the shape of a boiler. The only other room I could find that was open was a room to an arcade, filled with all of the classics, hoops, air hockey, a claw machine, and also a weird guy that's just kind of watching us. Classic arcade tropes. He won't talk to us until we turn off our flashlight, but we learn who he is pretty fast. This is Marvin Trumbull, Edward Crow's right-hand man. His name has appeared all throughout the game on various boxes and journals, so we don't know much about him, but we do know he's important. He's trying to find Mr. Crow as well, but someone we haven't met named Tolman is stopping him from using the elevators. And apparently Tolman excavates roots for Crow, whatever that means. We move past Marv and find our way meandering into the Ocean Kingdom cafeteria. And is that another phone call? Whoever this is so needy. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's Mr. Crow. We tell him that his daughter's been bit, and he promptly hangs up. And now we're trapped in the cafeteria. Just kidding. I make my way back into the submarine to terrorize some marine life. And with 4 easy shots, I unlock the shotgun, and not one of those fake ones that'll fall apart either. And I've got an achievement to prove it's the real deal. I find this completely normal looking and not unusual at all crate in the middle of the hallway. It seems that there's something inside, but nothing that I can see from here. I find a shortcut into the first save room where Detective Harrison's sitting. I wonder if he noticed anything about that strange little crate in the other room. The crate breaks open and I enter gamer mode, swiftly taking down the second of 4 mini-bosses with no mistakes at all. Yep, no mistakes at all. Fair enough. Now, I'll spare you the details, but I was a little lost at this point. I spent a lot of time interacting with every note and item I could find, but I did eventually find where I needed to go and what the mask was used for. It's not a costume, but more of a decoration. Traveling through the pile of sticks, I find a little maze. No enemies, so peaceful. Oh. I make my way to the center of the maze and reach into this big pot of snot stew to find the next piece in the big puzzle. A trident. Back in the cafeteria, I find these sea monsters are attracted to our new trident, so I face my fears and literally become the center of attention, and quite forcefully I might add. After toughing it out, I'm rewarded for my efforts with a silver key. And of course that opens up a lot of new paths for us, but it also allows us to turn on the arcade, so of course that's where I went first. Now, on the surface it looks like any old arcade, with a variety of games that keep track of your score, but upon further inspection, it's actually a long code. I need to get a score of 1 here, 2 here, 4 there, and lastly 8 here. And with that, we unlock a bit of ancient technology, otherwise known as a floppy disk. But that's not all there is in this arcade. There's also an achievement tied to one of the machines. The Mermaid Trivia machine requires you to get 4 questions in a row. And it'd be easy if it were straightforward, but since this game takes place in 1990, we need to answer like it's in 1990. Now, with our archaic floppy disk, we have access to computers across the map. And with that, it unlocks the puzzles I struggled with the most. First, we need to get access to these prison cells, the prisoners in each being a snake, a cyclops, a wolf, and a mermaid. And in my infinite wisdom, I thought I had to count if the prisoners had legs, arms, heads, or eyes. But that is not the case, if the lack of open doors was not enough of a sign. It is in fact done door by door. But once I figured that out, I sped through it quite easily. But before I leave the medieval prison, based on some notes around the map and clues all around, I put in one last code that matches that of a human. This unlocks a crypt that houses a wax figure of the late Ophelia Pike. As sad as it is, I'm not too sad because it gave us an upgrade to our medkit, which I use way too often. And this secret also unlocks one more achievement. I head into the gift shop because what says I love you like a creepy crow toy from an abandoned local amusement park? Nothing. This also happens to be the place where they keep the magnums, or at least one of them. I put in some codes based off of prices around these creepy crow toys. 25. And lo and behold, magnum. Also, funny little mushroom guy. Who apparently has no other purpose than upgrading our shotgun. Seeing the mushroom boy reminded me of the giant mushroom head we saw earlier. Inside was the mushroom boy's mushroom dad, and he had a feast fit for a king ready for us. That is, if you hated the king and you tried to poison him repeatedly. This room consisted of 6 mushrooms, 3 of which did lots of damage, but behind this is a secret. So if you want to S-rank it, you need to do this as well. And it really eats into the 10 medkits you can use before you lose your S rank. This secret also happens to be the upgrade for the handgun, so pretty useful. In search for more puzzles to solve, I end up at the theater, with a whole bunch of adoring fans that I must promptly take care of. I gather what items I missed on my first run through this area, and learn of a new booby trap. I eventually lay eyes upon the sprinkler system. It looks like I need to add some acid to it, but the kind I found isn't quite strong enough. So, add it to my to-do list. Heading back to the room with the chandelier that bested me, I find a new use for my silver key. This unlocked Tolman's office. Oh my god. Now, he wasn't very helpful, but he didn't stop us either. I genuinely believe he just wanted us to not get hurt or involved. While he didn't help us turn on the elevators, all the tools we needed for it were around his office. We used old DVD-like things, I believe they're called VHS, and each one gave us a note we needed to play on the keyboard. And with this fancy little tune, we were able to power up 4 of the elevators. But before we left, Tolman gave us another reason why he's the best. I mean, he's right. In search of an elevator, I find this awfully loud box, who contains our missing lawyer friend, Julie. And whatever, sue me. Some guy with sweaty hands put her in there. It was probably Marvin. I just don't like him, but he probably also has sweaty hands. She offered to help us if we needed anything. We made it this far on our own, but it's good to keep in mind. I also found this, which I really don't have words for. It's just kind of weird. But now it's time to go check out what's underneath. We use the elevators and find our underground tunnels. And a break room. Surely it's fine, you know. It's a break room. What could go wrong? There's a pool table. I pull a switch that has root access labeled on it, and the pool table's broken. Just great. As I entered the break room, I was not expecting a fight, so none of my guns were reloaded. but I still made quick work of the third of 4 mini-bosses. And at the center of this adorable little Tootsie Pop was a license plate with the code that would help us eventually get out of the break room. With root access turned on, I now have access to 7 of these strange rooms, next to what I can only assume are the roots. I destroy this generator, granting me access to Crow's office up on the surface. I interrupt this lover's quarrels that bring you such great pet names such as Bloated Old Gas Bag, Dopey Old Clown, Greasy Old Halfwit, and many more. After talking to these 2 lovebirds, I confirmed a bit more about the operations taking place. These roots have a center of 24 karat gold, which is great, but it's also very suspicious. So they had to take their operations elsewhere, and Marvin set up shop in Brazil, where he would sell his manufactured gold ore. But eventually, the authorities caught on, and he got in trouble, and he's trying to take Crow down with him. And that's why he returned. Continuing on to the rest of the rooms, they are all very similar, but this one had some jumper cables that may have broke their terms of service, this one had a save spot, this one had a convenient acid faucet for my acid bottle, and this one had a clueless detective and a giant smog vent, which I promptly turned off. Back on the surface, we head to the newly available 7 Seas ride. Only problem is we can't ride and start the ride at the same time. If only I remembered I could ask our friend Jules for some help. Look for what to do next. I find a room I forgot to unlock with the bronze key all that time ago. This unlocks the room with the hardest puzzle in the game. I'll spare you the suffering I endured, but just know it took me a long time. I'll show you the shiny prize I got at the end though, because that's pretty neat. So neat that it gave me an achievement even. Now, since I'm in the area, I go to check on our BFF Arthur. Turns out, he's still useless. But the car parked to us is not. It has some running shoes, so now I'm so flippin' fast. I sprint on over to SeaWorld and use my latest mixtape to open up this old door. Inside the supply closet is another little mushroom boy, and he's waiting to give us Scaramanga's favorite weapon of choice. Oh shit. After some rude monster almost untied my shoes. What the hell? I found a keypad. With the octopus on top, I figured I had to do the submarine shooting range again. And I was right. Oh. Okay, but like, what is that range, man? Frustrations aside, inside was a box of Magnum ammo. Another secret. I head back to the theater with my new super acid and learn there's still more I need to do. Oh, to be fair, I did not think that was the next step. I was just a little angry. But with the new super acid, I'm able to unlock a golden key. Using the gold key, I unlock a control room for the sea ride. And Crow's calling. And he really just called to tell us how much gold he has. How rude. After gathering Julie, she helped us go down this great value splash mountain. And away we go. This lasted all of about 1 second before we were stopped for a new puzzle. Interacting with these chests made the mermaids move up and forward. So with the right combination, we were able to get a mermaid that had a battery that we could use to later power the Crow. If it weren't already dead. So we're gonna have to figure out how to do that. Oh, and Julie's missing again. I tried to charge the battery at the acid drip, but that didn't work. But I remembered the jumper cables, so I used that to charge it up real quick, and then head on up to give life back to our giant crow friend. But before I continue down the central elevator, I go and gather up the last of the secrets and the last of the achievements that I can get in this run. Oh, that was easy enough. Now that I have all the secrets, I still need to hunt down the last mini-boss. Oh, and I probably should power that central elevator I was planning on using. Lucky for us, both those things can be found in Mr. Crow's office. After a little bit of exploring, it turns out Natalie had followed us in here. She's worried about her father, and rightfully so, to be fair. But her worrying about her father is not going to change things. It just makes everyone a little bit more human, you know? And speaking of human, there's a slideshow for all of our guests. Granted, they've looked better, but still. With the information on the slides, it also helps us understand the control room elevator code, which it's just kind of crazy how he just doesn't write his codes down. I don't know how Crow keeps it all straight. While we're here, I check on Arthur, and more importantly, my car. Still there. As I turn to leave, I see I've been locked in, and also the last mini-boss is here. I decide to pull out my golden gun and make quick work of him, but like, actually quick this time. See, that was pretty fast, right? I step on some pressure plates and show myself out. I move the Crow and make room for me to get down the elevator. I'm also getting shot at, and it's probably Marv. What a jerk. You know, for being shot at, Mara's handling this very well. I take the elevator down into the center of the underground, where I am greeted by many guests in a honestly very gross room. But I flick a couple switches and let myself through. On the other side, we find that Detective Harrison died. But not by a monster, by a gunshot. So, another kind of monster. I go further in and run face to face with Tolman once again. He tries to stop us. I tell him about Detective Harrison, and he realizes, you know, maybe the monsters aren't the worst thing down here. With the gun pointed at our head, Marv tries to make us feel bad because he was making too much money and got in trouble. Like, boo-hoo, my guy. Jeez Louise. Things are looking pretty bleak. You know, sometimes I wish Julie was still here. Oh, nice. We learn a bit more about our guests. They're not really trying to kill us, they're just trying to communicate. And that's why Julie was able to survive in there with all of the, well, I guess, bad guys, but still trying to push forward. We say our goodbyes to our new besties and go on to what I can only assume is to meet Mr. Crow himself. Down in his lab, we find a drawing, maybe? It looks like the guest might have written it. Oh, and a shower. And where'd my purple hair go? So it turns out we're actually Elaine Marshall, the girl that 2 years ago got attacked by one of the guests. He offers us some vials of the cure, and we'll gladly take that, as we have literally been dying for the last 2 years. Now, as I pick up the vials, I have to put down all of my key items, which is a great time to reminisce. Well, kind of. I'm going to tell you about my S rank now. It's 1990. I'm Mara Forrest. So, in my original run, I got all but one achievement. The last achievement I need is S rank, which involves completing the game with less than 10 heals used, no hints spent, all of the secrets found, and no lives used, which is a bit misleading because you can die and just load your game and it counts. Now, typically I don't like achievements that make you replay the game, but since you already know the answers to the puzzles and dying isn't super punishing, it was honestly a very enjoyable experience. But I'm gonna run it through you real quick, so stick with me here. Acting as a secret agent, we walk into the amusement park. We find and heal Arthur. He still has yet to contribute anything meaningful. We already know how to romance the fairy, so we can skip straight to the bronze key. Grab the secret laser eye from behind this door, head into Haunted Hilltop, clear the crypt, and give ourselves a crank. Hide in the Iron Maiden for our secret number 2. Show off some quick pro gamer moves. I know, impressed. Do a little trick-or-treating. Obtain the egg. Check on our friend. He's still sleeping. assassinate the fairy of the forest. It'll help us later, I promise. Feed our egg to a swan and decapitate his friend. Dig out a laser sight out of the trash. And do some ice fishing with resin and a flamethrower. Catch of the day today is a woeful mask. Get lectured by some Paul Blart wannabe. Use our trophy fish to get into Witchwood. Dispatch the enemies in the maze and dig the fork out of a big old bowl of soup. And grab a secret while we're at it. And it was about at this point where I started to have to ration my heals, knowing I would have to eat mushrooms later that will most likely kill me if I don't have all of the heals then. At least I don't make the same mistake twice, right? After a few small hiccups, I make it into the Ocean Kingdom. Hunt some wildlife, gather a shotgun, and opt to use grenades immediately after, and this time I didn't hit my head on the way out. Grab the silver key out of the Happy Meal box, and then hit my head on the way out. Head to the arcade and do the same code of 1, 2, 4, and 8, and grab my prize. I serenade Tolman with his favorite song, and then instantly run it down on my way to get to the flamethrower. So I do it again, because I love him, but this time I make it to the flamethrower. I try greeting and saving a health pack here, with mixed results. Eventually I do get to
What is the range on that guy?
Eventually I do get to loot the gift store, and then go to upgrade my flamethrower. And while I'm in the area, I should grab the health pack upgrade and the acid bottle. Almost forgot about my little mushroom friend chilling in the fridge. Found some shoes so I can run circles around Arthur. Useless. Feast on incredibly dangerous mushrooms and sacrifice like half of my healing items. And head into the basement. And into the break room. And display my unmatched talent for gaming. Oh, and bye generator. Oh, and hello Julie. Also, I learned at this point corpses can explode. And this started us on a pretty rough string of events.
Eh? Oh my goodness.
I do more detective work in one room than this so-called detective has done in his life. Stop for a refill of our sippy cup. And then immediately prove why we can't use grown-up cups yet. After ignoring the staff-only sign, we meet up with another mushroom boy. We skip past our adoring fans and skip some steps to get this magnum ammo. I slip on my way to the bathroom. This slip and fall lawsuit would set me up for life, but I take a quick bathroom break and plunge my hand into a toilet for some ammo. Now, on my way to the theater, I run into some issues. And I run into some issues in the theater, and some not even close to the theater. But eventually, I survive long enough to steal this golden key. I go back to my favorite 3-second roller coaster and fish a battery out of this mermaid. And give it a quick charge. And now it's time to say goodbye to our crow friend. But I don't last that long and I didn't save. So now it's time to say goodbye to our crow friend again, but for real this time. After struggling with the security a little bit, make it into Edward Crow's office where I can just skip all the puzzles, enter the codes, and I preset the exit code so I can just run on out because I do not have the health to be picking any sort of fight right now. And here is Exhibit A, Exhibit B, and Exhibit C. Now we make it back to where we find Tolman, oh, and Marv, oh no, oh, yay, and Julie. And just like that, we're all caught up. We take our vials and now it's time to face the Birdman himself, Mr. Edward Crow. We enter the pool room, which doesn't smell at all like chlorine, and I'm not even sure I would call this a pool. Oh, you've looked better. We approach Eddie Boy as we prepare for what is probably his final monologue. He uses more words than I will, but essentially he has found the cure and made enough for everyone that's still left living with this terrible disease, except for himself. And whether it's curiosity or some ego check, he wants to go into the pool himself. What she also describes the pool as a portal to another world that has slowly become less efficient because they've extracted the roots and destroyed the integrity of this portal. All the guests that come through the portal are suffering that terrible consequence, and the first person to climb through the pool was just barely able to communicate and left us this note. All of the guests that we see now are coming back in time trying to stop us from essentially just corrupting the world. According to this note and speculation, we're 2 years past the tipping point that when they originally started coming through, there was a chance that they could stop this, but at this point, Crow and his operations had gone too far and kind of just doomed the world due to his greed. Now, as he swan dives off there, he did leave us with one last request, and that was to kill him if the pool doesn't. So, we, of course, happily obliged. Dumping the rest of our all-powerful magnum, dodging the rocks, and most of the bear traps, we honor his last request. We make it out with our lives in 5 vials. We spread them amongst our friends and really ponder about how screwed we really are. The game was a joy to play through. The way the puzzles encourage you to explore the world, and you're rewarded with interacting with all that you find. It's well worth the price, and it's not a terribly long game, but every moment I spent exploring felt so well done. Every little note, every little item you could interact with, it just felt so genuine and complete. And as far as completing the game goes, the Steam achievements aren't too bad. They're mostly just another avenue to encourage a very thorough completion of the game, and don't really take away from the overall experience of the game. You get rewarded with some fun tools if you complete the game at certain ranks, so the next playthroughs are a little bit more fun. Now, if I were to rank this on the shelf to the sauce scale over here, this is definitely approaching the sauce. Worth taking the time to complete, just wish there was a little bit more. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more achievement hunting and indie game exploring. Bye bye!